powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Now, live from inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, it's Football at 4.
Football at 4 is powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. It's brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. The Eagles injury report fresh out. Bradley Roby out, questionable. Jordan Davis, Adam Caplan from the Inside the Birds podcast, which you can get on all podcasting platforms and on their YouTube channel. Just search Inside the Birds. He is with me here on a happy hour Friday. Before I get to you, Adam, I am on location today at Yuri's, and the fine gentleman that brought this hop hands here, wherever he went, he's over there. I just looked this up. This is rated over 4 on my Untapped app, which when you're over 4, I'm highly looking forward to this hop hands, so thank you. Tired Hands Brewery is the brewery, thanks to that guy there. Adam Caplan, welcome to Happy Hour Friday, Football at 4.
Yeah, good to be with you, Mike. Yeah, boy, I love being on location, though, to drink beer. That's always something good.
Yes, well, I mentioned it's Happy Hour Friday. We got listeners coming in, and I'm, on Friday I give some people some picks. They're on their way down here, so I'm giving them some recommendations of what to have. Well, the fine people here at Yuri's, they just emptied the bar out and brought me like 5 different beers to try here, so now I'm in trouble. This
Make sure you take it easy there, Mike. But I'm a dark beer guy. My father got me into dark beer in my 30s when my dad so my dad would and I would drink a little bit. Yeah, it's good beer though. But you're right, Mike. So the injury report is out. Here's the thing about Jordan Davis. There's some positive and negative. Yes, he's listed as questionable. Now the negative is he didn't practice even today. But what it suggests to me is it's a minor hamstring injury because if they didn't think he'd play or could even contribute in a meaningful way, they list him as out. Now, the Eagles are one of these teams that rarely downgrades players on Saturday, like the Patriots of all teams. They're a big downgrade team on Saturday. Eagles don't do that. So they obviously think he could contribute in some way. It's a little risky. It's a little risky to put a guy out there who didn't practice, who's this young. He's in the second year. But here's the positive. Zach Cunningham's been cleared to play with his ankle injury. James Bradbury cleared with the ankle. Milt Williams cleared with the heel. That's the new injury he had. As you mentioned, Bradley Roby, their nickel corner, will be out. And Reed Blankenship, this is big, Mike. He's been cleared. So we are going to see, for the first time in NFL history, the only Middle Tennessee State starting safety tandem, at least that we know of. And that'll happen on Sunday. Now, the question is with Kevin Byard, is he going to play 100% of the snaps like his predecessor, Terrell Edmonds, who played every snap last week, then got traded? Is he going to play half the snaps? So they'll work through that. But it's not like he's not well rested, Mike. He's coming off of a bye, and he hasn't missed a snap this season. So really looking forward to seeing how they deploy him on Sunday.
Well, I was going to follow up with that. If not Byard, then who? Because as Evans is out. Who else do they have to play those snaps?
All right. So Sidney Brown, by the way, is not on the injury report. So remember, he missed 3 games, returned last week. He's their third safety. Now, the only other guys they could activate off the practice squad on Saturday, tomorrow by 4 p.m. Eastern, which is the limit. That's it. After 4 o'clock, you can't make any roster moves for this week. There'll be Mekhi Garner. Mekhi Garner, who's a backup corner but could play safety, which he has done here. And Tristan McCollum, they clearly don't want to bring up because they had an opportunity to do it a couple weeks ago and didn't do that. As far as nickel corners, the guys we mentioned, Eli Ricks has been, Mike, I got to tell you, it's a major surprise that he's able to play nickel. No one I talked to in scouting thought he can do it. Now, I know it's limited, what they're asking him to do. He's done a good job. Josiah Scott did a good job last week. They also have Kendall Vildor, who played for Sean Desai for 2 seasons, and really the Bears really won when Desai was the D coordinator, but he was a Bears nickel corner for 2 seasons. Mario Goodrich can do it if needed, who's back on the practice squad again. Now, Washington, Mike, as we turn our attention to the matchup, we should mention their injuries, and they've got a couple starters who are going to be out. I just got this. Cody Barton, their middle linebacker's out with a high ankle sprain. They go with David Mayo, who's a journeyman middle linebacker, and Sadiq Charles, one of their starting guards, is also out. So I know the Eagles for some reason, could not get turnovers in that first matchup against the Washington Commanders quarterback, Tim Howell.
Yep.
But this is not good when one of your starting guards is out and you have one of the worst offensive lines in football. Oh, by the way, your quarterback has been sacked 40 times in 7 games.
Yeah, it's historical right now, the pace that he is on. The matchup for the Eagles offense against the Washington D, Adam Caplan. Let's break down, in your mind, some of the key bullet points that you're watching from the Eagles offense against Washington's defense.
Yeah, so in the first matchup, because we use that sort of as a small guide to what we might see. See, Washington's, they play mostly zone defense. They used to play a lot of man. They're a big zone defensive team. After Emmanuel Forbes got abused in the first matchup by A.J. Brown for 2 and 175, they've made changes here. So what they're doing now, Mike, is they're using Kendall Fuller, who's been a starter anyway, and Benjamin St. Just, who's a third-year corner, who's got really good size out of University of Minnesota. Good player. He's over 6'3", Mike. You typically don't see tall corners. Quan Martin, who played with Sidney Brown at Illinois, he's their nickel. Good, really good football player. I know the Eagles really liked him. He was a second-rounder. He could play corner. He could play safety. And Forbes now is a backup. So, look, if you could protect, and yes, Washington is a good front, you could throw against this team. Now, Washington has been fairly disciplined against the pass, but as we saw, the Eagles really had their way when they got behind. Now, last week, Tyrod Taylor played very well against Washington. I was kind of stunned. Now, the Giants only scored 14 points, but Taylor was 18 for 29, 279, and very accurate. And Darren Waller, this is good for Dallas Goedert. Darren Waller had a great game. He had almost 100 yards and 7 catches, and he scored. And they gave up some shot plays. Jalen Wyatt, a third-round pick out of Tennessee, a receiver, had a big game. He had a 42-yarder. So there are plays to be made here against them, and they will get that going forward. And they're an okay run defense, but, again, to sum up these matchups, I expect the Eagles to come out throwing. That's really obviously what they're very good at right now.
Well, obviously, A.J. Brown, 125 yards or more in 5 straight games. I mean, he is – and, Washington, the last time they played, the poor kid that got stuck defending him, I don't know that stepped back on the field since.
Forbes, yeah, he does. He's now a backup. But so, look, the Eagles' offensive line, they'll hold up well. I'm not – Lane Johnson, by the way, not even on the injury report this week, coming back from that ankle injury, which was – as it was explained to me, more of a basketball ankle sprain, a very normal one. It scared them that Sunday night after he got hurt against was it the Jets, but he's fine. He's good to go. And then obviously, Mike, it's as we finish this up, the Washington offense versus the Eagles D. I still cannot believe how well Hal played in that game. Do you know he's not played well since then? He's really been struggling. And you mentioned historically, he's not going to match David Carr's in 2002 historic numbers, getting sacked over 100 times, but he's on pace for 80.
Yeah, I was going to say he's on pace for 80. He's having a rough day at the office.
He is, and you know what he is? The way it's explained to me, Mike, he steps into sacks because he's a smaller guy at 6 feet, between 6 and 6'1". He doesn't see it well sometimes. Now the first matchup, he was incredible. You know the thing is, Mike, it wasn't as though they didn't hit him. They hit him. And he took it, and he just was dealing. And you know, Terry McLaurin has been an Eagle killer. He had a great game in the first game. Now he scored on a fumble recovery, but he's historically had good games against them. Honestly, when you really look at it, Logan Thomas is a guy, number 82, is a former college quarterback. Watch out for him. The Eagles have done fairly well against tight ends, but Thomas almost scored in the first game. He got a pass thrown to him in the red zone. He came very close to scoring. That's a matchup to watch, and the Commanders will definitely spread them out. Now, in the first matchup, Eric Bieniemy, the offense coordinator for Washington, was funny. He refused to run the ball inside because he saw on tape you just can't run inside against the Eagles. Eagles' number one rush team in the National Football League by far right now. Teams, the way that they try to score is they try to throw it, and I would expect Washington, and Bieniemy wants to throw it anyway, much to the chagrin of Ron Rivera wants to run it. I was wrong about the first matchup. I thought the Eagles would have their way against Washington's offensive line. They really didn't. I would expect this time they'd be much better. And you know why, Mike? Because Hassan Reddick was still dealing with that surgically repaired hand. And now, as you know, he's playing with his hair on fire. He's been unbelievable. Yeah. And Washington's offensive line, this time, I'm going to say it again, they're in trouble.
I would agree, and I was on a show earlier today down in Washington and said the same thing. I said, I think Reddick was not Reddick the first time they played. That makes a big difference in this one. And you mentioned Logan Thomas real quick about Byard. Byard's really good against the tight end, too. I mean, so if that's an area where the Eagles have been perceived to slack a little bit, and you said that they've been good there, that should really clean up that problem if it's perceived to be a problem, because he's very good in that role.
Yeah, and by the way, he plays a lot. You'll see him in the box, too. He can play in the box. He can play deep. He's just a great football player and a leader. And grew up in Philly, as he said in his interview this week. He would have gone to Overbrook High had he stayed here. So a really good dude. I mean, what on paper looks to be a steal, Mike. Now, I know he's 30, but he's still got plenty left in the tank.
I want to ask you, before we let you roll here, Adam Caplan from InsideTheBirds.com, and don't forget the Inside the Birds pregame show on their YouTube channel at 10 a.m. on Sunday. Mike Tannenbaum put out there that he would trade for Derrick Henry if he was Howie Roseman. We know Roseman and Tannenbaum know each other pretty good.
I'd be shocked.
Would you be – because, listen, in 2017, if you're a creature of habit – they went out and got Jay Ajayi, and people said, what do you need Jay Ajayi for? You know, they had LeGarrette Blount, and it turned out to be the right type of move. So would that be shocking?
It would be, because Derrick Henry, you have to be a running team. With Derrick Henry, Jay Ajayi, you could do anything you want. Now, he was near – Mike was with the Dolphins when Ajayi was there. In fact, I think Mike was their VP of football ops when they came in here. Remember 2017, that summer with Ajayi? And that's why the Eagles went up trading for him.
Yeah.
But I'd be stunned, because I'm not saying Derrick Henry won't be traded, because he's on the final year of his deal. But to me, you got to commit to the run, and the Eagles will never commit to the run full time.
Well, do they need a closer? Do they need a guy to close a game out?
Yeah, they do. But here's the problem. Well, if you play Derrick Henry, you can't put him in the garage for 12 carries a game. It doesn't work. He needs volume carries, Mike. I don't know where Mike T came up with that, but that would surprise me. I would almost say shocked. You have to be a running team to have Derrick Henry, and the Titans are finding out, unfortunately, with their new front office, that you have to be committed to running it with him. And if you're not, if you want to change it up a little bit, you're kind of stuck.
He's Adam Caplan, everybody. This is Football at 4 from the Inside the Birds podcast and all podcasting platforms. And don't forget the YouTube show. Just search Inside the Birds Sunday morning at 10 a.m. with Mosher, Cosell, and the crew. Adam, happy hour Friday to you.
Thank you, my friend. I'll see you next week.